Welcome everybody. We're continuing the laws of Lashon Harah. We're on chapter 8, halacha number 12, Ches Yud Beis. Okay, let's begin. Vida, Od. The Isser Lashon Harah hu afilu im megana oso bifnei Yisrael. The prohibition of Lashon Harah is even if you denigrate someone in front of another Jew. Right? You speak about a Jewish person in front of a Jewish person, that's a prohibition of Lashon Harah. V'kol shechein im meganehu bifnei nachrim. Davonu gadol harba yoser. And all the more so if you speak Lashon Harah about a Jew in front of someone who's not Jewish. The sin is much greater. Why? Besides for the fact that you denigrate the Jewish people and you desecrate the honor of heaven, you're causing great damage. How? When you speak negatively about one Jew in front of another Jew, he's not necessarily going to take it as 100% truth. Maybe what he's saying is not true, maybe it's not so accurate, right? Because the Jewish people, we are brothers, we're all family members, we have a common descent, and we all are in the same covenant of being the chosen people, of being the people where God gave us the Torah, instructing us how to act. So naturally, a Jewish person is going to usually be more sympathetic to another Jewish person. Just like family members, right? You're more likely to have mercy on a brother or a sister or a sibling than a stranger, right? Who are you going to feel more of a kinship towards? Your family member or a stranger? Obviously, we treat everybody respectfully, but there's just a natural connection to somebody who's a family member. And also, the Jewish people are tasked with representing what Hashem's will is in the world by following the Torah. So when you say something bad to someone who's not Jewish about what a Jew does, it reflects negatively on their honor of heaven. Obviously, if a Jew does something wrong, it's a very serious thing. It reflects negatively on the honor of heaven, but also spreading that around does the same. Aval. Right? But if you go in front of a non-Jew and say, oh, this Jewish man's a thief and all these things, the non-Jewish person will believe it in his heart and he'll publicize it. Again, we're not talking about every non-Jew and every Jew. These are just general things, which I think we totally see that this is totally accurate. If you look on the internet now, any inkling during the corona epidemic, any inkling that a Jew is doing something wrong, even if he's not actually doing something wrong, is exploited on the internet by anti-Semites, and it's spread around. So it's especially disturbing if you have Jewish people that are telling these anti-Semites negative things, and you see, whereas a Jewish person might be sympathetic, oh, maybe it didn't happen like this, and he will judge favorably because it's another Jewish person, it's a family member, but you see that you just read the comments on the Asbury Park Press Facebook page, or you read the comments on these anti-Semitic websites, they just believe anything negative said about a Jew, they totally believe, and there is no benefit of the doubt. You see how true the words of the Chavetz Chaim is, right? We had recently that school buses were going around Lakewood delivering meals for poor children who didn't have their meals at school, and some anti-Semites wrote that school was open and that all the Jews were going to school violating the social distancing orders. So every anti-Semite and many, many non-Jewish people just believed that it was true. Now, obviously, there were non-Jews who didn't believe it was true and gave us the benefit of the doubt. But in general, unfortunately, our non-Jewish neighbors, many of them, just believed that it was true, and the whole thing turned out to be false. And even to the point where a local news person reported it as truth, and he apologized. He gave a very sincere apology after that it wasn't true. Or you see the contrast when a Jewish person was riding his bicycle outside of Great Adventure doing nothing wrong. Certain non-Jewish neighbors in Jackson, New Jersey, which are facing a federal lawsuit for discrimination, they called the police, and the police came and they said, the guy's just riding a bike, he's doing nothing wrong, he was riding on the side of Great Adventure. And then you should have seen the comments on Facebook about how bad the Jews are violating social distancing, even they were not doing anything wrong. And then a few days later, some people who weren't Jewish actually hopped the fence into the safari at Great Adventure, and there were almost no comments criticizing them. So unfortunately, we live in a time where we are in exile, and there is an antipathy against the Jewish people that certain groups of non-Jews, again, not everybody, I'm not saying everybody, so being aware that so nobody takes my words out of context. But there are many groups of non-Jews who will readily convict a Jewish person of doing a crime before he sees the evidence and is just believing anything and forget. I mean, even more than what the Chavetz Chaim is saying, that they'll believe anything bad about a Jew is true, they'll even make up things about Jews, which we see very often. So just like the prohibition to speak Lashon Hara to another Jew is very serious, to say it about a non-Jew is even more serious. Right? Because when you do that, it could happen that very bad things will happen to the person you're speaking about. Right? So just these, you have certain people that say, yeah, we have to say bad things about Jews on the internet for whatever reason. That's definitely not the way of the Torah. It's very clear here in the Chavetz Chaim that we do not speak Lashon Hara. Now, what do you do if you see a Jew doing something wrong? First, we had a whole list before. You go to him privately, you speak to him first, and you try to deal with him privately. Now, obviously, we're not talking about where a Jewish person is putting others in danger. That's a totally different story. Then you have to, get him to stop doing the danger, and you do whatever has to be done. But the point is that these are very serious issues, and very serious things can happen because of them. All the more so, if you go and you report Jews to the non-Jewish authorities, your sin is too great to bear. You're in a group called Malshinim. V'dino shaval apikoros. The law is like a heretic. V'hakofrim b'torah b'tchias amesim shegehenim kal v'hem enim kal. It says about these people that report Jews to the secular authorities that hell will finish and they'll still be there. They'll still, even though the great sinners will not be punished anymore, these people will still remain in hell. The idea is because we have Jewish courts. Let me finish first. Every Jewish person has to be very careful of this. Someone who goes and reports Jews, it's like he blasphemes the Torah of Moshe, like it says in the Code of Jewish Law, Now, what the Code of Jewish Law there is talking about is when you have two Jewish people who have a monetary dispute, that they go to a Jewish court and not to a non-Jewish court. Now, what's the reason? This really touches on all of the issues of Masira. The idea is that we have a Torah, right? We are celebrating Shavuos in a few days, that God gave us the Torah with certain laws of how He wants us to live. Now, included in those laws are certain rules and regulations called Dinei Torah, Dinei Mamanis, of how the Torah wants us to deal in monetary disputes between us. So that's why we have Bezin, we have a Jewish court, so that when two Jews who follow the Torah, they should be adjudicated according to Torah law in monetary disputes. So if you report them to the secular authorities, they have a secular court system, which, as one of the 7 commandments, the 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach, that every non-Jewish country has to have a court system, but they adjudicate according to their own laws. But when you have two Jews who are having a monetary dispute, you go to the Jewish court, which will adjudicate based on the Torah laws, right? The Torah laws aren't just, ritual laws about how to pray and how to celebrate the holidays. There are also laws about how to live, Ben Adam L'Chavero, how we treat each other. And included in Ben Adam L'Chavero are laws when two people have disputes, because the Torah knows we're human beings, we're all not perfect, and disputes would arise amongst people about how to, and when it came to money matters. So the Torah gave guidelines of how to judge those monetary issues. And again, because the idea is that one should not go and report to the secular authorities. Now, I'm sure someone here is going to take me out of context. We're not talking about a Jewish person who is a danger to others, right? Then you call the police and you do whatever you got to do to stop them. But talking in more like these matters when that's not the case. Obviously, if someone is a danger to the community, we all know cases which don't have to be spoken out, then one does go to the police immediately. But it's always good to, these are very serious laws, it's always good to speak to a rabbinic authority who lives according to the Torah and studies the Torah law and best how to handle the situation. So again, it's a prohibition of Lashon Hara to speak negatively about one Jew to another Jew. And just also a disclaimer, we didn't talk about, it is also prohibited to speak Lashon Hara about a non-Jew. Many sources to that. We're not discussing that right now. So just so no one should come out and saying that I'm not saying that. But here, since, again, the Jewish people, we're all family. We're not just a religion, we're all family. And we, just like you would, and just like you would be more merciful naturally on a sibling, on a family member, we Jews are naturally more sympathetic to each other. But the non-Jews, not all of them, but again, many of them, as we see evidence by even in New Jersey in 2020, what's going on, we see how bad it can be. So it's a greater sin to speak Lashon Harah about a Jew in front of a non-Jew. And again, if one has a monetary dispute with another Jew, he should go to a Beis Din, a Torah authority. And if one goes and reports, goes and reports Jews to the secular authorities who do not judge according to Jewish law, that is a very big sin. And again, we're not talking about where there's going to be a danger to the community or danger to somebody with a Jewish person is doing something wrong. That's why, again, one has to be very careful. You see on these certain Facebook pages where they just incite non-Jews. One need only go to the website First Amendment Activist, run by Shlomo Klein, who posts negative stories about Jews all the time, and one can read from the comments about how true the words of the Chafetz Chaim is and how the hatred is incited for the Jewish people, until unfortunately we have, in the past few months, we've had a few people that were arrested for threatening violence against Jews, and people like that who run these websites are causing a very big danger to the Jewish community, and hopefully they'll stop. And hope everyone has a beautiful day.